we don't give ourselves enough credit. And we need to celebrate those wins. I know it's said a lot, but people that are really ambitious and really hard on themselves, I think that we feel so much more fulfilled if we just spent the time to sit in the successes that we've had. And that should be what drives us into the future, and what helps us to feel more whole as an individual is those small successes and those small wins that have got us to where we are. Welcome back to Beyond the Black Belts podcast. I'm Megan Cotterill, the owner and founder of 5 Elements Martial Arts in Calgary, Alberta, and the World Kickboxing and Karate Union Team Canada president. We're discussing life lessons I learned in fight camp, and we're continuing the discussion on that. I feel like talking about all these different kinds of topics and sharing my life and things I've gone through have been really helpful to me, and hearing other people's stories and hearing about ways that they overcame all their obstacles and challenges or amazing things that happened to them in their life really inspires me, helps me work through the challenges I have in my life. So if this podcast has been helpful to you, please share it. And please share in any comments below about what you're going through. I think we're stronger together as a community. And I think that continuing to share with each other is really important. So thanks for the support. And hopefully I'm sharing that support right back to you. So one of the life lessons I learned in fight camp was choosing and pursuing goals and what that meant for me. So I had a lot of reasons for deciding that I wanted to be a 10-time world champion. Some of my reasons were healthy and some of my reasons were unhealthy. Some of it had to do with my ego. Some of it had to do with my childhood. Some of it was just to feel like I had a place in the world and had an identity, and I was worth being a human here on this earth and having some validity to what was going on and who I was and how I showed up. So I have realized a lot about why I set the goals that I set. And my goals were ridiculous. Like, I wanted 10 world titles. I ended up getting 11, which really kind of hit at home. And I think I wanted 12 and 13 and 14. But when I started with these crazy goals in fight camp, it was 10 world titles. And just having a baby and trying to qualify for nationals and trying to make world championships that year, my goal was to lose 90 pounds. My goal was to qualify in multiple divisions at the national championships. My goal was to be able to take my baby to national championships and be able to compete for 4 days and be able to handle coaching other students, my own personal journey, and having I think he was 6 or 7 months old. I was still breastfeeding little baby while I was fighting girls in their late teens, early 20s. And here I was in my 30s trying to get my career back and trying to make sure that I had a place in this industry and that I would be taken seriously and that I would have the resume that would allow for me to be treated like I was a good martial artist and that I deserved to run a business in a school. I deserved to be a coach. I deserved to be considered a fighter and a competitor and someone that was of higher quality in our industry. I found that being young, being a mom, being a girl, there wasn't a lot of respect or belief even that women could be as good as men or be as good of fighters or be good instructors or good coaches or deserve to have a successful martial arts school. I mean, that was not something that was well received or well taken. I think as time goes on, we continue to see change, which was important. But I thought that choosing these goals through my fight camp would be enough. And I became incredibly obsessed with those goals. So through all the gold medals, through all the fights I took, I ended up doing in my fight camp career and my competition career There was one year that I did 10 different styles of competition. One world championships, I was in 9 different divisions. And trying to be perfect at all of them, and trying to obsess about all of them, and trying to obsess about being on the podium as much as I could took over so much of my health and well-being and mental space. And I didn't realize how unreasonable it was. I didn't realize that I was so negatively obsessed with the pursuit of these kind of goals and how they were unreasonable for anyone. I would never have expected my students or the other competitors on Team Canada to do as much as I thought I could do for myself. And that failure was not an option at all. And I put so much of my self-esteem and so much of my identity and so much of my success and so much of my value on these particular goals and my obsession on these goals that the weight felt unbelievable. Like I felt like I could break at any moment. And I felt like failure would crush me and failure would destroy my business and it would destroy who I was as an individual and would destroy any chance that I had of respect as the thing that I thought I was most successful at doing in the world and that I had pursued against all odds and against all expectations of what I thought I could do. And those obsessions led to a lot of terrible things, a lot of overtraining, a lot of injuries, a lot of hospitalizations, a ton of self-harm. And it's taken me a while to realize that nobody should have even allowed me or not told me, hey, I really care about you. This is not good. This is not what you need to be doing in order to be successful. Where I was everyone was encouraging me to do this, but they were also expecting me to fail, which drove me even further. So that drive to do it all became very overwhelming. I was sick a lot because it was more important for me to wake up at 6 a.m. and do diuretics and do cleanses and have an early morning cardio session before I took my son to daycare and go to work than it was to have better sleep and eat more and take better care of myself and try to breathe and try to process all the additional stress mentally, physically, psychologically that I was putting on my body in order to achieve these unrealistic, super crazy goals that I was like, no, I can do this. I can do this. I just need to work hard enough. I just need to be very focused. I just need to go through this amount of suffering. So when I achieve these goals, they feel like they mean something and that I've earned them and that I have my place and that I know how to mentor other people. But that drive came with breaking my shin and my wrist and bones in my feet and my nose multiple times and multiple concussions. And I fought through those things and I competed extremely injured. And I never thought about what my future was going to look like because I never wanted to stop my determination and my drive to achieve, even though that wasn't normal. And it's not what you're supposed to be doing or thinking about while you're going through all this stuff. Like, who competes with a broken shin? I competed with a broken shin. I was told not to be a big baby about it, that my injury wasn't real, and that I need to go do a full contact fight in the ring like a week and a half later. So I did. And that drive was pain medications and a lot of crying and a lot of panic. Did I win that fight? I did. Now, when I look back, was it worth it? I don't know. In my journey now, I'm wondering if everything that I learned and went through in that pursuit to drive helps me to be ambitious and assertive and push forward on my goals now. But I would never have wanted that for anyone else. I would have cared more about someone else to say, take care of yourself, take care of your body. These goals are unrealistic. You're obsessed. You're unhealthy. You can be a successful person. You can still have validity in your job without having to be obsessive, without having to go far beyond what a normal human is expected to do. So even after going through all the broken bones and the abuse of medication and the lack of sleep and the lack of support I was giving myself and the negative, terrible self-talk that I was giving myself every day. Like I was meaner to myself and I said meaner things to myself than I think anyone has ever said to me my whole life. And that cruelty that I was giving to myself was pushing me that extra little bit to get to those goals that I thought I wanted. And I would feel better when I got there. I thought if I got all these goals, I'd feel better. I felt like everything will be okay and I'll have this relief once I get to these goals. Like once I get to these gold medals and these fights and these podiums and these black belts, like everything's going to feel good again. I'm going to feel good again. I'm going to feel worthy again. I'm going to have the relief that I've been seeking my whole entire life of never feeling good enough. And so I got that first gold medal and it wasn't good enough. And I questioned if I was even talented and whether I even deserved it. And then I was questioned on if I deserved it and if I was talented enough. And I never got the relief or the feeling or the overwhelming happiness that I thought I would have by achieving those goals. And so it became this endless cycle of pushing, unhealthy, achieving these goals. And then feeling this terrible letdown and this terrible depression and this terrible come down. And giving myself a break wasn't even an option, because if I thought I gave myself a break, then I thought I wouldn't be at the top of my game anymore and that I would lose every other goal that I put in front of myself moving forward forever. Like, why would I rest? Why would I take a second? That'll just put me behind. That'll just make me weaker. That'll just, I won't have the training that I need to get the second gold medal or the third gold medal or a different division or even more of those things. And how dare I have a cupcake because I've worked so hard to maintain this weight, to get to these goals and to do these weight classes. Like, I don't deserve a cupcake. What I deserve is the next goal and the next goal and the next goal, because then I'll feel better and then I'll feel good enough and then I'll feel worthy and then I'll feel strong and then I'll feel successful. And it took me a long time and a lot of space and silence and a very awful couple of surgeries before I realized that I never took the time to be proud of these goals. And I never took the time to appreciate what I went through. And I never took the time to congratulate myself. And I never took the time to realize that what I did was incredible, because if anyone else that I loved achieved the goals, the things that I was so hard on myself for, I would have had the biggest party, popped the most bottles, been celebrating them, would have splashed it all over social media. And I never once did that for myself. I think now in reflection, we don't give ourselves enough credit. And we need to celebrate those wins. I know it's said a lot, but people that are really ambitious and really hard on themselves, I think that we feel so much more fulfilled if we just spent the time to sit in the successes that we've had and realize the journey that we've had and actually put ourselves in the shoes of someone we love and start treating ourselves the way that we would treat those people that we loved. We got to give ourselves our own high fives and we got to pop our own bottles, and we need to take those days off, and we need to sit in the fact that we were successful and that we did it, and that should be what drives us into the future, and what helps us to feel more whole as an individual is those small successes and those small wins that have got us to where we are. Hopefully, you learn to appreciate yourself and your successes a little bit more. You beat yourself up way less. You seek perfection way less. Your goals should be those little parties that you throw for yourself. Take the time to think about the joy and the accomplishment and the happiness. You deserve it. You've earned it. You are so worthy of it. And by sharing in your own joy and realizing your own joy, you give permission to others to feel it too. If you like this topic or you have any comments or questions, please leave below. If this can help anyone, or if you thought this was pretty great, I wouldn't mind if you shared or liked. Thank you so much.